Welcome to the Intensely Positive Podcast with your host, Kelvin P. Ringgold. Preset your mindset to make every day count and make positivity your way of life. Are you ready?
Let's just do this.
Good morning, my friend, you magnificent human being. Wonder of wonders, you incredible ray of sunshine. How are you today? Kelvin P. Ringgold, Prince of Positive, coming to you all the way from Salt Lake City, Utah. Actually, it's a little town outside of Salt Lake. It's called Linden, I think. And I'm here for some invigorating lessons on investing and stuff. Bunch of stuff I like. I'm here for a little 4-day workshop for some things I've been working on, and maybe you'll hear about some of that later on. But right now, we'll just say I'm out of town. I must say it's been an awesome week. It's been invigorating. It's been busy. I've had client work. I've had to clean up the house. I had to do laundry. I'm a bachelor. I had to do laundry so I could pack and get ready and go out on a trip. And I've been spending the last few days getting my head filled with all kinds of knowledge and perspective and things that's just going to make me so much happier over the rest of my life. And don't get me wrong, not that I'm not happy. I'm just happier than a pig in mud. I'm happy every single day I wake up, breathing and moving on my own power. I am ecstatic. But there are other things that I like to do. There's all kinds of joys and challenges that we like to take to feel better or differently, or just to have another challenge to conquer, or just to feel good about whatever we're doing in life. And it's very invigorating, I must say. Learning new things, meeting new people, being on the same wavelength as other people, it's just an amazing feeling. So I'm enjoying myself here. So let me give you a couple of words that I think are important. Focus, Pocus. And I'm sure you've heard me use them before, but the reason I use them and the way I use them is to illustrate that what you focus on is what you bring about. What you think about, you bring about. That's the crux of the phrase. And that if you want something different to happen in your life, you must focus your attention on something else. And I came across a really cool quote that you might like by a fellow named Robert Collier. Look him up. Go ahead. And it says this: Our subconscious minds have no sense of humor, play no jokes, and cannot tell the difference between reality and an imagined thought or image. What we continually think about eventually will manifest in our lives. And of course, you know I'm a big Illusions fan, so that particular quote goes right along with one of my favorite quotes from Illusions, which says, we magnetize into our lives what we hold in our thoughts. Now, just for the record, I'm not perfect. You probably never thought about that. But from time to time, we motivational types, we need motivating too. And although we usually highlight this principle, so we remember that we need to keep our goals and our wishes and our desires out in front of us also. We need to keep those things up front in our thoughts so that we can manifest them in our lives. But what if we hold negative thoughts in our lives, in our minds? What if we hold thoughts of like, this day sucks, or bad things always happen to me, or every time I take one step forward, I end up taking 3 steps back? What if we hold thoughts like that in our minds instead of positive thoughts? Well, the law is the law. And if we hold negative thoughts, we'll start to manifest those negative thoughts and creations. The sneaky thing is sometimes these thoughts sneak into our heads and we don't realize it. I remember one morning I was riding to work. I felt great when I got up. I got dressed. As a matter of fact, I was really happy to be alive. And on the way to work, somehow I managed to hook up with some thought about things that weren't particularly pleasing, and I didn't even notice. And I ended up concentrating so intensely on those negative thoughts. And by the time I walked into my office about 15 minutes later, I had this unexplained depression until I figured out what had happened. You know, negative and disempowering thoughts can sneak up on us all the time. We have things going on. If you listen to the radio, whoa, that's a bad one. All the stuff that's happening in the world, the sounds that are around us, the billboards that flash across us, the other people who are driving along the highway, signs we don't even see that the subconscious mind picks up, because the subconscious mind notices everything. However, it doesn't always bring everything to the forefront. And sometimes what happens is it will glance at something and put that into our head, and we'll start to process that without even knowing it. Which is why my friend Tony Robbins says we need to stand guard at the door to our minds and stay aware of the thoughts that we allow to enter and to grow. Focus, pocus. What we think about, we bring about, whether we realize we're focusing on it or not. So how in the world do we combat something like that? How do we combat thoughts just sneaking into our heads? Well, you know, sometimes thoughts get in there and we don't know. We have no idea that they're there. So if we don't actually realize it, there's not a lot we can do. But one of the things we can, but once we notice they're there, then we can do something about it, because every feeling is a choice. It may not be a choice when it gets planted, but if we let it stay, it was a choice to let it stay. I know a lot of times something that happened to me, somebody will say something that will bother me, and it doesn't even have to be about me. It could just be a offhand comment that just doesn't make sense to my state of mind at the time. And I have a choice. When I notice it hits, I can either let it stay there and ponder it, or I can just say, you know what, cancel. Just get out of here. We don't even want to entertain that thought right now. Just go move someplace else. I'm busy being happy. I'm busy appreciating life. I'm busy looking at all the wonderful things that are going on around me, and just let that thought go. Dismiss it. Sometimes the music we listen to plants thoughts, and especially if you listen to hip hop, because there's a lot of times there's a lot of stuff in hip hop that can just help you focus on things that you don't even realize you're listening to, because you get so caught up in the beat and the music, and suddenly you could be hating on a lot of stuff that you didn't realize you were going to be hating. But it's a conscious choice to play that music. So you know what? In a very real way, you chose, well, not you, because you probably wouldn't, but the people who do that are actually choosing to program their minds with that stuff. And bad moods will happen. But we don't have to let those thoughts stay. And I talked another time about the law of substitution. Whenever a thought comes into your mind that doesn't put you in a good place, you can substitute something else for that thought. Substitute another positive thought for that thought and just let it go. But make no mistake about this. This takes practice. Particularly if you're a person who is prone to getting upset, or to be easily affected by other people's thoughts or words. If you're the kind of person who is easily triggered, this really takes a lot of practice to take those negative thoughts that come in and the resulting emotion and stop them and put them in a neutral state and go on to another thought. That takes practice. And practice creates habits. And habits really run our lives. So what do you think, my friend? Or better yet, what are you thinking, my friend? Are you allowing random thoughts to come into your mind and set up camp, and you have no control over them? Or are you standing guard at the entry to your mind going, No, there's no room in here for that thought. That thought's got to go. That thought does not enable me in any way, and I'm not going to entertain it. And that's what we have to do. So I'm going to leave you once again with that beginning quote. That quote by Robert Collier that says so much. Or you think about it and you decide how you want it to affect your life. But here's a quote again. Our subconscious minds have no sense of humor, play no jokes, and cannot tell the difference between reality and an imagined thought or image. What we continually think about eventually will manifest in our lives. That, my friends, is Focus Pocus. And with that thought, I'll see you next time.
Wow, that was awesome.